Welcome to Rockingham, where the weather is very changeable for rounds 17, 18 and 19 of the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship. Championship leader is starting in second position on race 1, but it's his championship title rival, Adam Southgate, who's in pole position. For the first race, it's over to Jake Sanson to take you through the rest of the grid.
Thanks, Lloyd. 6 races to go in the 2017 season. Here's the grid for the first race. Southgate and Hayes on the front row. Richard Avery and Kevin Molyneux on the second row. Goodwin and Porter with Alex Stocker and Philip Churchill chasing them down. Nick Hull and Coleman failed to set qualifying times. Johnson and Hammond on the front row, but Hammond will not start. An engine failure in qualifying. Lowry, Rossin, Smith, Printy, Pert, Waters, Callender, Valentine and Pritchard chase them down, with Baker and Harris in the production boxsters. Red lights are on. We're going to get a new winner in 924s, whatever happens, and it's going to be an epic battle in the boxsters. Away we go. Great start from Rossin in the 924s, who pulls ahead of Johnson and our onboard man Ryan Lowry. Away we go. That's a cracking start from Avery. Avery leads the way in the boxsters. Ed Hayes trying to draw alongside Adam Southgate. Side by side. Still side by side. We're on board with Kevin Molyneux. Down to the second corner at Dean. Into the hairpin. Hayes goes out wide. Molyneux's going to try and get the acceleration off the hairpin. Will he beat Hayes to the corner at Yentwood? Avery leads the way. Southgate, third position. That is Hayes slotting in. Coleman's up to 5th position. What a start from James Coleman. Meanwhile, it is Rossin in the lead of the 924s from Lowry, Gavin Johnson and Peter Smith. On board with Bernie Printy, trying to make up progress. In there, in front of him is one of the production boxsters. 2 cars in the production class once again. Baker versus Harris, that battle will continue. There's Ed Hayes, slotting in behind Southgate, Molyneux and James Coleman looking very aggressive as he tries to make his way up into 4th position. On board with Hayes, there is Coleman, making his move on Molyneux into Gracelands. So James Coleman having an absolute flyer on this first lap, and he needs a good result. He's had a frustrating year of on and off scheduled racing so far this year. But Coleman looks strong. Hull is now making his bid to come through, so Nick Hull may have an opportunity to move up past Kevin Molyneux. 924s, it's Rossin, Lowry, Johnson, Smith and Waters in the top 5. So the battle continuing in the 924 class as they come onto the school straight. On board with Ryan Lowry, quick check behind him. He's got a bit of space back to Gavin Johnson in 3rd position. Every single driver in the 924 grid here today is bidding to become a first-time winner this season. Rick Styron won the first 2 at Alton Park. He hasn't raced since. Pip Hammond has won every race since then, but with an engine failure in qualifying, Pip Hammond does not take the start of this race. Hopefully he will be back for races 2 and 3 this weekend. But that's a big blow in terms of his championship campaign, and it's an open opportunity for these guys to win their first 924 race of the season. Here's Molyneux at Dean. On the inside is Nick Hull. Now Nick Hull is bouncing back after an issue in qualifying when his bonnet sprung up from the boot of the car and ended up smashing the windscreen. They've repaired it, as you can see, and he's back in the action, but up to 5th position he's gone. So Avery leads, 2nd is Southgate, 3rd is Ed Hayes, and if we look behind us, there's James Coleman. So it's a 4-way scrap for the victory. Brilliant stuff as they go into Corby. On board with Ryan Lowry as he heads into Chapman. Whoa, careful Ryan. The back end starting to come around. The great thing though about the 924 is that it responds very much like a dirty great go-kart. All that power in the rear wheels, it gives you such a bite back as you come through. You can to a certain extent chuck the car in and catch it back like you would a Rotax kart. It's an amazing machine. I got the benefit of driving one of the PDC racing cars. I think it was Gavin Johnson's earlier in the year. Whoa, that was close. I tell you what, Richard Avery almost got a door full of James Coleman there, and that's enough for Southgate to step up the inside, but Coleman is going to try and protect his position. He dives back up the inside of Yentwood and takes that 2nd place back, although he's still there to the left as Adam Southgate. He still wants a piece of this. Surely he can't go right round the outside of Chapman and take the place. He's going to. Southgate has gone round the outside of Chapman and gone into 2nd position. That is a man desperate to keep his championship hopes alive and take points off Ed Hayes. Adam Southgate, no hesitation at all, goes for the move, round the outside of Chapman and got second position back again. This is turning into the race of the season as he now looks at Avery into Gracelands. He hoped there that Avery would overshoot. He hasn't done so. So now Adam Southgate's got to try something else, and quickly, because Coleman's coming at him. Coleman looks to the inside line, then dives back for the outside. Southgate is having to attack and defend simultaneously as Ed Hayes in fourth position, the 77, just watches it all unfold. Down the school straight, and again trying to look to the inside line. This is an opportunity for Southgate to try and get one over on Richard Avery. He now swings shots back to the inside line. He's going to get him in the final turn, and he's there. Southgate takes the lead. The Avis Consulting number 45 is back in front in the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship, and a win would be very forthcoming at this point. James Coleman has got the inside line for Richard Avery. Avery's going to slip down to third. He sweeps through and he's there. So James Coleman now into second position. He has come up from the back row of the grid, James Coleman, and now he is in second place. He is clear that he wants to make Rockingham his own. Oh, Southgate runs deep at Dean Hairpin, and that's going to give Coleman the lead. Coleman is through into the lead. James Coleman won his first ever Porsche race at Rockingham, and now he is going to do it again if things stay as they are, as Avery sweeps back across to stop Ed Hayes coming through. So Hayes in fourth position, now sat right tucked up behind Richard Avery as they go through Chapman into Piff Path, left, right, not so much curb used in the Boxsters as there is in the 924s, because these cars are a little bit more brittle at the limit, and you've got to be a little bit more respectful as you would be while chucking a 924 from corner to corner. Much more technical car these, and with the aerodynamics they are a very interesting beast to tame. Through Gracelands, down the short stretch to Tarzan. Southgate is dropping Avery and Hayes. So surely now this is a pair of twos, a pair of duos battling away for first and third. Hayes is through past Avery though. So Hayes has got into third position past Richard Avery. Oh, and into the pits comes Bernie Printy. That is game over, I'm afraid to say, for Bernie Printy, and he will be very disappointed with that. He's had a miserable season of peaks and troughs all the way through the year, as Southgate again has a look at James Coleman, trying to repeat the move he made on Richard Avery, but James Coleman is no slouch. He's not going to gift wrap a victory. Down the main straight once again, Southgate trying to get into the draft. You utilise the slipstream much more here at Rockingham than you do anywhere else. He's now pushing very hard to try and close up on our race leader, James Coleman. So Coleman breaks for Dean Hairpin. Southgate a little bit later, just trying to gain a little bit of ground. Coleman runs a tiny bit deep, but that's okay for the moment. But Southgate is right on him, with Ed Hayes in third position, now trying to close them down. That is Nick Hull in front of us. We're on board with Dolly Molly, Kevin Molyneux, number 4. Now, why am I calling him Dolly Molly? Well, I tell you what, his dance moves and his Dolly Parton impression, as we witnessed in hospitality last night, very much in presence. So if he decides that racing is no longer for him, he could get away with being a Dolly Parton tribute act any day of the week. And up the inside, Southgate's going for Coleman! They touch! And somehow they get away with it. But Ed Hayes is now seeking the opportunity. Up the inside, here I go. Into second position goes Ed Hayes. So Southgate commits to the move on Coleman. Coleman turns in, as is his prerogative as the race leader. They just nudge, but somehow they get away with that. That is as close as a trip to the grass or the barriers as it is possible to get without actually getting there. Coleman, look, sweeps across to the inside line. He is in defence mode as he tucks in for the inside line. Southgate sweeps back on the inside of Ed Hayes and gets that second position back. But look up ahead. Those clouds are looking very threatening. I'm not so sure we're going to get a completely dry race here at Rockingham. When you get clouds descending of that thickness in that volume, rain is imminent. So I would not at all be surprised if we get a little bit of precipitation joining us here at Rockingham. Here's the 924 battle, and it's close. Rossin, Lowry and Johnson battling away for the victory. Every single one of these drivers has not scored a win this year in the 924s, and every single one of them wants to do it here at Rockingham. Lowry looks behind him just to see where Gavin Johnson is as they go down the school straight, breaking down into the chicane. He almost missed his braking point because he was so busy looking behind him at Gavin Johnson there. But he tightens right up on Carl Rossin. If he gets in the slipstream, he's got a great chance to go for the lead. He's looking very constantly behind him. He knows that Gavin Johnson is a threat, and that's why Johnson sweeps one way, sweeps to the outside now. If he can keep the speed all the way round, then Johnson has an opportunity to completely pendulum his way round the outside of Ryan Lowry. Lowry now tucks back for the inside. Carl Rossin, look, he's staying on the racing line. We're on board with him as he goes into the Dean hairpin. Is he about to lose the lead here? No, he's just tucking on with things very nicely indeed at the head of the field. Carl Rossin just keeping things together, but he is definitely being caught now by these two. Lowry has Gavin Johnson all over him like a bad habit. Great to see battles in both classes for the victory as close as ever. This is quickly turning into the meeting of the season. Southgate overshoots! I wonder if that's a brake issue. But Southgate has gone straight on and is now going around the oval. And look, rain spots of rain on the windscreen. Now I wonder if that's to do with brakes or if that's to do with rain coming down. Maybe he just lost grip. It's going to be very interesting to see this battle now as rain is definitely falling around the circuit. But if Southgate goes around the oval, I'm fairly sure he's going to be docked a lap. And that means he's out of the race anyway. He can rejoin in position. And I think the ruling is that if you go around and miss the circuit, even if you slot back into the position you were in, then I think technically he's going to lose a lap, which is a real shame. But look at Ryan Lowry all over the back of Carl Rossin as they go down the school straight. He's now focusing ahead. Looks, quick check over the shoulder to see if Johnson is close. He's not. Rossin is protecting all over the circuit now. Into the left, into the right, and into the final turn. Can Lowry get a good switch back? Oh, Rossin was slower than he expected him to be in the final turn, and that has impeded him a little bit. Now he's moving to the inside line, the middle of the circuit, to block Gavin Johnson coming through. Over the line again. Johnson's there on the outside. So Johnson switched by and into second position. So Johnson has got him on the other side. So even though Lowry defended to the inside line, Gavin Johnson has come through anyway. But the rain is definitely starting to fall. It's getting heavier as Johnson dives for the lead. Is he going to get there on Carl Rossin? The battle intensifying here at Rockingham, and there's only a few laps to go. Two epic battles simultaneously here at Rockingham as both the Box the Race and the 924 race is getting quite heated here at Rockingham with rain starting to fall. Ryan Lowry trying to close back up on Gavin Johnson to get that second position back again. Carl Rossin holds the lead. As you can see, look, the cars are starting to squabble a little bit on the exit of the apex as the rain is starting to fall down. Gavin Johnson now defending from Ryan Lowry, and if they're not careful, Peter Smith is going to mug them all. Look at the rain on the windscreen now. Starting to get very heavy as they come through Gracelands, down the short stretch towards Tarzan as Johnson is now thinking about Rossin to try and go for the lead. He's committing to it. Rossin's going to go deep, is he? He runs very wide indeed as Johnson tries to come back at him. They're going to go side by side down the school straight. This is Gavin Johnson bidding for his first win at Rockingham, his first win in the 924s, his first win in motor racing. And he's through up the inside. So Rossin has now lost the lead. Johnson is there into the lead of the race. Rossin in second with Ryan Lowry right behind him. Ed Hayes has got in front of James Coleman. And that's a spin in front. That's Peter Smith. So Ed Hayes has taken the lead. We didn't see that, but Ed Hayes has got through on James Coleman. Right before the checkered flag. Ed Hayes has got the win. On the last lap, Ed Hayes has snatched victory. Now the 924 battle is still going as Johnson goes very deep at Dean Hairpin. He's got to save this one from Rossin. He holds him there nicely. So out of Dean Hairpin, up towards Yetwood. Oh my goodness, look at how heavy the rain's going down. Johnson's gone off. Johnson's gone off. The rain just chasms onto the circuit there. No warning whatsoever. And poor Gavin Johnson has overshot into Yetwood. He was the first one to get there. Look at Rossin. He can barely hang on to the car around the circuit as the rain properly falls down now. There it is again, look, as Johnson has overshot. That is another look at it. Oh, Gavin Johnson so close to the victory. It's going to be Rossin who takes it in the end. Rossin wins it from Lowry. Ed Hayes wins overall from Coleman, and Avery in third from Hull. Molyneux, Stocker, Andrew Porter, Gary Goodwin and Philip Churchill. Adam Southgate finished third on the road but was in the end docked a lap for going round the oval. Baker beats Matthew Harris. Look at how heavy the rain is now. Thank goodness it's over, but it's too little too late for Gavin Johnson who loses the victory. Rossin is your winner from Ryan Lowry and Peter Smith who recovers from that spin. Waters is fourth from Callender, Pert, Valentine and Andrew Pritchard. Johnson and Printy out of luck this time. Pip Hammond non-starting, but he'll be back in time for race 2.
Carl, congratulations on your win in the first race. Brilliant action out there.
Oh, it was end to end, really. Had a fantastic start, got the jump on the other two lads, and kept it on out there. And they kept nibbling and going at me. And I managed to fend them off, and then just made a small mistake on the last lap, second from last lap, going into Tarzan, let Gav through, and he was away. But we came through Dean Hairpin side by side. There were some spots of rain. We come up to the next corner, and it was just a deluge of water. And I managed to stay on the track, and then tootled round at about 25 mile an hour. So it was the old heart was going. But yeah, we got there in the end.
James, a tough race out there, but you've come away with second place.
Yeah, I'm not over happy with second place. I should be, starting from the back, but we had a problem before qualifying. The clutch pedal totally disappeared before gridding up, so we didn't get out to qualify at all. We managed to sort the problem temporarily and do a couple of laps behind the safety car at lunchtime, and then we were able to start from the back.
As the cars are lining up to go out for race 2 in the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship, Carl Rossin, surprise victory yesterday, sees him put on pole position for this race. It's going to be an exciting race. Pip Hammond, starting from the back of the grid, is going to be one to watch out for as well. It's over to Jake to take you through the rest of the grid.
You're not wrong, Lloyd, and with Southgate at the back of the box to grid 2, there should be 2 hard chargers in both grids. So Ed Hayes and James Coleman line up on the front row of the grid, with Richard Avery and Nick Hull on the second row. Third row is Kevin Molyneux and Alex Stocker battling again, Andrew Porter and Gary Goodwin on the fourth, Philip Churchill beside Southgate, he'll be charging through, Carl Rossin and Ryan Lowry on the front row of the 924 grid, then Smith, Waters, Callender, Hugh Pert, Chris Valentine and Andrew Pritchard. Gavin Johnson and Pip Hammond have Bernie Printy for company, with Baker and Harris in the production boxsters at the back of the grid. Red lights are on. Let's go racing again on a drier circuit this time. Away we go. And Adam Southgate is going to want to charge straight away. He tucks in behind Gary Goodwin. Now goes to the right. He's obviously suspecting trouble in the first turn. Another lightning bolt start from Richard Avery. He's drawn alongside Coleman, as Ryan Lowry now has the very fast starting Peter Smith to his left. And Peter Smith is going to take the lead in the 924s, I believe. Avery leads, Coleman second, Hull is there in third. Southgate's made a cracker, he's up to fourth position alongside his championship rival Ed Hayes, and he's got through. Another terrible start from Ed Hayes. Whoa! Peter Smith and Ryan Lowry bang wheels there, and Ryan Lowry's going to get through on the inside line. So Lowry is through. Peter Smith has to concede. That is Bernie Printy having made his way forward. He's up into fourth position now behind Rossin, Lowry and Smith. He goes wide at Chapman. Is he about to lose a place to one of the PDC cars? I think it's Gavin Johnson who's all over the back of him at the moment. Stocker and Goodwin. There is the 46 going through. He's there in front of Porter. And then in the back of the queue is Philip Churchill. But Richard Avery and James Coleman lead the way, both of them searching for their first victory yet again in race 1. How on earth did Ed Hayes get himself into a winning position in the first place? He only led one lap and it was the last one. Nick Hull slicing across Southgate. But if there are 2 more races like that for Ed Hayes, he will be the champion at the end of the weekend. So Ed Hayes now watching his main rival, Adam Southgate. Southgate lost the lap in the first race because he went round the oval. I think that's because of a brake issue. Down towards the chicane, Nick Hull trying to hold on to the position. Nick Hull is once again in his favourite position, third place. That's where he's always been able to finish if he gets on the podium. He's still waiting for that elusive second place, Nick Hull. But surely one day it will come. At one point I thought it would come yesterday with the rain falling down as much as it did. Oh, he's drifted a little bit wide there through the first corner. You can see that, look. He goes wide, and that's enough for Southgate to get on the inside. Will he finish the move? Well, Hull is defending! They rub fenders there, but Southgate has enough to get through. Oh, that's a spin for Kevin Molyneux. Kevin Molyneux has spun at Dean Hairpin behind us. So Molyneux's had an incident. I wonder if he's just lost his braking point, and Molyneux spins round. So he's going to be making a recovery. Ed Hayes, meanwhile, has got a view of Nick Hull as they go through Piff Path. Left over the curb, right over the curb. See, they can use the curbs in the dry weather. In the wet, it was really tricky. Now, Molyneux making his way back through. He's got to try and work his way up the inside. He goes past Hugh Pert in Chapman curve. And now he's closing up on the leaders in the 924 class. In there as well, the Porsche production Boxster class. Whoops, Jamie Canada, runs a little bit deep in Corby. And now he's got Pip Hammond right underneath him. The comeback kid, Pip Hammond, determined and resolute to make this championship his own. He's not far from sealing it if he gets some good results, but missing the first race will definitely not help, as Molyneux has to sit. Callender going through Greystands, had one wheel off the deck there. Absolutely incredible. 3 wheels on the floor, 1 in the air, as up the inside goes Kevin Molyneux. He drifts out wide. Callender's going to get back on the inside line, but the superior power of the Boxster will surge him past down the school straight. Hull, Hayes and Alex Stocker. Stocker is actually running very well here in the dry. This is looking to be his most competitive meeting so far this year, and Alex Stocker has had a lot of bad luck. Avery now having to hold the inside line and Dean Hairpin to stop Coleman and Southgate coming through. Coleman swarming around behind. Avery still holding on to that lead as much as he possibly can, squeezing Coleman back in the braking zone. So now there's a chance that Coleman is going to have to find another way through. We're on board with Adam Southgate. Championship opposition to our leader Ed Hayes, but Hayes can seal the championship here this weekend if things go his way, and Southgate knows it. He'll want to beat both Coleman and Avery in a straight fight. He decides to go the long way round at Corby to get the switchback on the inside line. But Coleman has a very good car underneath him indeed. Richard Avery has a tendency to be incredible at the start, and then the car just loses pace and he slowly falls back. So at the moment, Richard Avery is doing his best impression of a cork in a bottle. Not that he wants to be, but he's hanging on to it at the moment in the lead here as they go through Tarzan. Out of the hairpin, back on the throttle, up the school straight. Coleman trying to get closer to Avery. Southgate ever a threat. Down the way to the chicane once again. Got to get the braking point for this spot on. Avery in the middle of the circuit, exactly where you need to be if you want to defend. That stops Coleman coming through. Oh, there was a little bit of a moment there. As Avery lost the car, Coleman had to hold himself up, and so too did Southgate. 3 men very hard on the brakes there at a point where normally they wouldn't be. So Coleman now going into turn 1. He's going to utilise the slipstream here. Watch this. He's going to get right underneath Avery. Diving for the inside line. Will he get there? Avery's going to send him to the right, so Coleman takes the bait. Fine by me. I'll just brake later than you and swing round the outside. No, he won't, because Avery holds it. Oh, Southgate's been held up there. Southgate goes out wide. Now, he had to do that because he had nowhere to go other than into the side of the other cars in front of him. So now Southgate will have to try and close up on the pair of them. Coming back, puff of smoke behind us. That looked like somebody was locking up their tyres. We're on board with our race leader, Richard Avery, desperately trying to hang on in the Kemper Rent UK car. So the number 6, hanging on to the lead. So what can he do in front of Coleman? He's drifting out wide, but this is holding them up. Southgate is already on the back of them again. Coleman's now having to go right down to the outside to get one over on Avery. Surely he can't make the move around the outside of Greystands. He gets there before the apex. Amazing move from Coleman. He takes the lead. So Coleman leads in front of Richard Avery, and that is an absolutely terrific work of absolute genius at that point of the course from Richard Avery. And Southgate's gone! Southgate's gone in Tarzan! Oh, that's the championship hopes almost certainly at an end for Adam Southgate. He's lost it at Tarzan. It looked as though the back end just stepped out, and there is the safety car. He's in a vulnerable position. Wow. Devastating. So now Coleman lines up in front of Avery. Hayes in third with one hand potentially on the championship trophy now. Stocker, Hull, Goodwin, Churchill. And then we have Porter and Kevin Molyneux with a chance to make his way back on the restart. This one should be good. Once again here at Rockingham, we're on board with the 4th place man, Pip Hammond, as he charges after Carl Rossin to try and get himself into a podium-paying position. Ryan Lowry leads the way, searching for his first 924 win of the season. Gavin Johnson in second, looking to redeem himself from yesterday's off at Yentwood. Totally not his fault. They got hit, as Carl Rossin was telling us earlier, by a deluge of water at Yentwood. Nothing they could do about it, no warning. Pip Hammond now swarming around behind Carl Rossin to get back onto the podium. He could do with it. He needs the points in the championship fight. Johnson goes a little deep. Rossin goes deep as well. Hammond trying to come round the outside at Dean Hairpin, at least to get the switch back for Yentwood. Down to the braking zone, and is he going to get there? Well, Pip Hammond is working hard, trying to make his way on the inside there of Carl Rossin. On board with Hammond through Gracelands, trying to get the most out of his championship attack. He's very, very close in the championship because of that first race blunder at Alton Park when he ended up going into the barrier fighting with Rick Styron. He was lucky to pick up the points for the rest of the weekend, and he has won every race since then coming to Rockingham. But then obviously in race 1 yesterday his engine had blown in qualifying and he missed the race, so it was Rossin who took the victory. Lowry is on course to win the second race for another first time win, certainly in the 2017 season anyway. It's been all about Pip Hammond in the 2017 season, although not here today. Here's Ed Hayes in the slipstream behind Richard Avery. Now, can Ed Hayes come through? He's working very hard indeed. James Coleman is long gone up the road in front of us. So is this going to be a sweet taste of success for James Coleman? It certainly looks that way at the moment. Richard Avery under immense pressure at the moment from Ed Hayes, with Ed Hayes smiling very wide at the sight of his championship rival Adam Southgate in the gravel at Tarzan Hairpin. All it took was one wheel off the racing line and the car was pitched around. Oh, that's Nick Hull! Nick Hull has gone off! So Nick Hull is the latest to join the kitty litter at Rockingham. Can't quite see where on the circuit that is, but he is out of the race as Hammond makes his move on the inside of Carl Rossin. Down into Dean, and he's there, threading the needle at over 100 miles an hour. Thank you very much, Carl, for the memories. I'll see you later. And Pip Hammond is going to push the race 1 winner off the podium by moving through in a third position. So now they're chasing after Carl Rossin and Gavin Johnson. So Johnson running in second. He'll definitely want to secure some good points after that. So here they come through Piff Paff. Left and right, up towards the left-hander at Corby. Now Pip Hammond will want to get close to his teammate, but these two are incredibly good friends, and Hammond has been helping Gavin Johnson's driving prowess along through the course of the season. If you look at Gavin Johnson now compared to how he was at Alton Park, the difference is staggering. Gavin Johnson's such a stronger driver. Look, even through Gracelands, Pip Hammond is having to work so hard to counter steer when the car snaps away, but Pip Hammond, lightning reflexes, he gets the car stopped into Tarzan. Getting good acceleration off the turn, really important here to get that run down the school straight. There's your leader, James Coleman. He's had a frustrating season up to this point. Even race 1 was frustrating yesterday. Ah, there's Nick Hull's car. So that's where he went off. He went off at Yentwood. That's where Gavin Johnson ended up at the end of the race yesterday. But we're on board with Ed Hayes, looking to Richard Avery. Can we steal a second position before this race is out? Thanks to the brilliant restart. And Richard Avery holding up Ed Hayes. James Coleman is long gone in the lead. Oh, Hayes has got a chance here on Avery as Avery runs wide. But James Coleman is looking good for the victory out in front. He's in there lapping 924s. But this has been an absolute masterclass from James Coleman. A former winner in the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship. He's had an on and off campaign, but the 00, Dick Dastardly himself, for Wacky Races fans will know that that was Dick Dastardly's racing number. And if you look very closely in James Coleman's car, you may see strapped to the roll cage, Muttley is cheering him on for luck. Into the left, into the right, and it's going to be an absolutely brilliant run from James Coleman to finish off the second race here. He was frustrated yesterday from the back of the grid to second. Now he is going to take a victory as they come out of the final turn, and it is an absolutely heroic victory for James Coleman. Meanwhile, Ryan Lowry is going to do the same thing. Coleman takes his first win of the 2017 season, and if Ryan Lowry hangs on to it, he is going to win his first race of the 2017 season too in the 924 class. Through Gracelands. Come on, Ryan, you can do it, buddy. Hold on to it. He's worked so hard all season as Ryan Lowry. He's got the PDC Racing boys hot on his heels, Gavin Johnson and Pip Hammond. And it would be amazing for Ryan Lowry not only to win this race, but to do so with the dominant force of the PDC Racing boys behind him. He looks behind him. Not too much, Ryan. Keep an eye on what's going on ahead of you as well. Make sure you get your braking zone for the chicane. And I think Ryan Lowry is going to do it. He's worked so hard all season, and this win is a long time coming, but thoroughly deserved. Out of the final corner, back on the throttle. Well done, Ryan Lowry. At last, a victory in 2017. He's done it, and he's delighted. Johnson second, Hammond third, Brilliant result. James Coleman wins overall in front of Richard Avery in the Camper Rent UK car, and Ed Hayes, champion-elect if the last race goes his way. Stocker, Goodwin, Porter and Molyneux follow him home. Andrew Baker beats Matthew Harris, this time by 18 seconds rather than 20. Baker fastest lap, 1:49.006. And in the 924s, at last, Ryan Lowry takes the top step of the podium in front of Gavin Johnson and Pip Hammond, with Rossin in fourth ahead of Bernie Printy and Peter Smith. Pert, Callender, Pritchard and Valentine follow the field home, with Philip Waters sadly out of the race, but Hammond is the fastest again.
Ryan, that was a superb win in race 2. Talk us through it, because there was a lot of action going on throughout the whole race, really.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get the best start. Ended up by the first corner, I was into third. Managed by the second corner to get back up to second. Carl had got a bit of a jump. We pushed on to try and catch him up. Managed to take him coming into the chicane before the start-finish straight, and just tried to get away as much as possible. Built a bit of a gap and, hoped it was enough, really. Well, it wasn't until the safety car.
James, congratulations on a well-deserved victory, especially after the first race this weekend. Talk us through it, because once you got into the lead, it was as though no one could catch up with you. Yeah,
we thought it was a bit... Yesterday we set the pressures a bit high because we thought it was cold, but then the car went off really quickly yesterday, so yeah, not a great result. But today, yeah, we got it just right, and car felt great right to the end.
Richard, fantastic second place, and it was a tough battle out there.
Yeah, it was. I had a blinding start again from the start. It's a bit of a pattern going here. Keep, getting a good start, leading the race for 5 or 6 laps, and then all of a sudden one of these two lads, managed to get by. So yeah, I just don't know what I can do really, any difference really. I'm trying my best, getting a good start, getting away, and then it's all over. But well done to James. That's his first win as well in this in this championship. So he's got his monkey off his back now.
And you say, tough race out there. The final race, it's reverse grids. Does that help you or hinder you?
Hopefully it'll help me if I can get a good start from the back of the grid, and then you could pick a few off. If you can take 2 or 3 off on that start, you've done a lot of work, haven't you, already? So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Let's see what happens later on. Thank you.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks.
Well, the cars are lining up for the final race of the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship here at Rockingham, and this is a reverse grid race, so the racing is going to be exciting as the cars head out there. It's over to Jake to take you through the grid.
Thanks to Richard Avery, by the way, for correcting me. That was James Coleman's first win in the championship in race 2. He's gunning for another one here. Churchill, Molyneux, Porter and Goodwin at the front from Stocker. Ed Hayes, about to become champion maybe? Avery, Coleman, Nick Hull and Adam Southgate. Pritchard is alone on the front row of the 924s. Valentine electing to sit this one out. Callender, Pert, Smith and Printy. Rossin, Pip Hammond, Gavin Johnson, Ryan Lowry and Philip Waters, with Harris and Baker at the back. Now, this is the chance for Ed Hayes to win the championship if the result goes his way for the first time this year. Let's see if he can get it done. Away we go. On board with Rossin. Hectic start in the 924s. It always is in a reverse grid as Smith has Callender on the inside line. Rossin's making a cracking start. Oh, this is on board with Printy. Rossin's gone into the side of us and we're in the wall. Oh, disaster as Bernie Printy's gone into the wall. Hugh Pert has as well. And that's Pip Hammond. Championship leaders in there as well. Pip Hammond in the wall as Alex Stocker takes the lead. Now with 3 cars in a wreck. Look, red flag, red flag. Straight away we are under red flags as the race has been stopped. Let's have a look again. Now look, the 924's just clustered together. There's not a lot of room for manoeuvring. The bonnet goes up. Hammond is minding his own business on the far side, and he's gone straight into the wall along with Hugh Pert and one of the production boxes in there as well. Absolute carnage at turn 1. And that is, well, a big hammer blow to the championship for Pip Hammond. The race is going to be restarted. Here we go. Oh, and there's nowhere to go for Philip Churchill. Churchill doesn't get off the grid. So now into the lead goes Dolly Molly. Kevin Molyneux is in the lead. Alex Stocker sweeping through to second place. Richard Avery's getting another cracking start, trying to get on the inside of Porter. Avery hustles through behind Stocker. And look at James Coleman. Where did he come from? Round the outside. Coleman is sweeping up into third position. What a mega getaway from Coleman. We're on board with Ed Hayes. Ed, for goodness sake, stay out of trouble. The only man he's in front of at the moment in the battle is Adam Southgate, the man who could take more points off him in the championship fight. So this is a really interesting one. Whoa! Stocker runs a little bit deep. Avery's on the inside line. Avery now comes round the outside of Chapman. Molyneux hesitates. We've got past James Coleman. We're committing to the move on the inside of Pit Path. We've got damage. And Hayes is through. Molyneux goes off on the grass. And that is Avery through into the lead. He's got damage to the left front, but he's through. Coleman is through into second position. This is like the touring car championship. Never mind the Porsches. Amazing stuff. So now Avery is your leader, Coleman second from Molyneux and Stocker. Alex Stocker looks so solid here at Rockingham. In his second race, he did a good job. He might be able to do even better this time. Whoa, Avery just lost the back end a little bit on the way through Graceland, and now Coleman is going to give him pressure again. Stocker through to third. He gets past Kevin Molyneux. Now it's Ed Hayes' turn to go for the yellow Dolly Molly. Down the school straight. Ed Hayes on the right side. He draws alongside. Will he beat into the braking zone? Yes, Ed Hayes much more confident on the brakes through there. Avery's hesitating in the chicane. I wonder if that damage is more than he realised. But Coleman's going to try and get a good exit. Alex Stocker's going with him. What a race this is from Alex Stocker. He's up there in third position. Okay, his grid position was a good one thanks to the reverse grids, but he's taking full advantage of it as Coleman takes the lead. Coleman takes the lead through turn one. And if race one is anything to go by, we may not see him again, as Richard Avery now has a look to try and get him back on the inside line. Careful, Richard. Look at Ed Hayes round the outside of Stocker. He's bidding to become the champion, and if he keeps this up, Ed Hayes will win the title in 2017. What a battle this is turning out to be in the third race of the weekend here in the Toyo Tires Porsche Championship here at Rockingham. We're on board briefly there with Adam Southgate. Ed Hayes, look, the champion-elect, number 77, has got through into third position past Alex Stocker. If he can make one more place and Southgate stays where he is, then he will be the champion. He will not be catchable. This is an opportunity for Ed Hayes to seal the title he's been working for since Alton Park at the start of the season. We're on board with Hayes. Richard Avery in front of us. Oh, and that's Molyneux. He's gone off there in the background. Molyneux has gone off at Graceland. Thank goodness it wasn't a bigger moment than that, as Goodwin now has pressure from Andrew Porter. Porter's trying to make his way through on the inside there at Tarzan. Can't quite get the move done. Now here comes Ed Hayes on the inside of Avery. Is he going to move into second position? Whoa, Avery's making him work for it in the braking zone, and he's through. Stocker's going to take the advantage. Is he to get through as well? Avery blocks his charge, but Ed Hayes is through into second. One hand now on the trophy of the championship for 2017 for Ed Hayes. He is so close to wrapping this up. James Coleman is leading. He won't mind that so much. As long as he finishes in a decent position ahead of Southgate, then the championship is his. Southgate trying to come around the outside of Alex Stocker, and that's going to happen. He's got good speed round the outside. Stocker's going to need to defend big time to the inside. But look at the braking difference between the two of them. Southgate brakes much later, keeps the car travelling round the outside, but Stocker holds him off on the way through Dean Hairpin. But crucially, Southgate now gets the inside line for Yentwood on the inside. Thank you, Alex. That was a good bit of a battle, but I'm going to take it, thanks. So up towards Chapman they go. This is on board with Richard Avery. Hayes is through past this into second. But Avery will now have another tough challenge on his hands, and that is Adam Southgate. Southgate needs to pass Avery to stand any hope of winning this championship at all now. There's Alex Stocker, another solid run from him. His pace is getting better and better every weekend. We look back to the 924s, and there is Ryan Lowry leading the way again in the 924s. Peter Smith in second place, locks up big style. Gavin Johnson in third position. Ryan Lowry trying to win his second race of the 2017 season now, with both Peter Smith and Gavin Johnson trying to win their first. But it's a disaster in the 924s for Pip Hammond. He is on the sidelines watching his teammate Gavin Johnson. And this, well, that car, I looked at it when they brought it back on the tow truck. It looks an absolute rolling wreck. I will be amazed if they can get that car out for the finale at Brands Hatch. Even though it's 5 weeks away, they're going to have to do so much work to get Hammond out there, and that's to seal the championship. Gavin Johnson is best placed to take it from him, although this weekend Ryan Lowry is gaining an awful lot of points as well. So it could go to a showdown at Brands Hatch between the final three. And if Pip Hammond's car isn't fit for purpose by the time we get there, Lowry or Johnson could snatch the title away. Now look at Southgate. He's got through Hayes. Southgate has got through Ed Hayes. How did he do that? Southgate has caught up to Ed Hayes and got through. Now this is a chance now for Southgate to get some points back for the championship. If he finishes ahead of Hayes, he will take the championship down. Oh, he's lost it. That's a brake failure. Brake failure for Southgate. Brake failure for Adam Southgate, and his championship chances are almost certainly over now. Well, the only way they're going to continue on to Brands Hatch is if Hayes is out of the race, but Southgate rejoins. But that was a brake failure right there. So James Coleman leads the way in front of Ed Hayes. If it stays like this, Ed Hayes will seal the championship with 3 races to go at Brands Hatch in 5 weeks' time. And that will be delirious for Ed Hayes. He's already a champion in the past in this series, of course. And now he's going to take another title. James Coleman, fresh from his first ever win in the series a few hours ago. Thank you very much indeed to Richard Avery for correcting me. James Coleman has won here at Rockingham before, but not in this championship, and finally he has got there. So now he is trying to get away from Ed Hayes as they work their way through the traffic. That is the production Boxster in front of us. Oh, Ed Hayes trying to be Andre Lotterer there as he dives up the inside. But this is James Coleman on the run to victory. In front of us is Philip Waters in the 15. Please move out of the way, mate. I'm not too bothered about the fact that your car is covered in World Champions. If you look closely at Philip Waters' colour scheme, he's got all of his adventures from motor racing, including photos he's taken with 4 Formula 1 World Champions are on that car, namely Sebastian Vettel, Nico Rosberg, Lewis Hamilton and Sir Jackie Stewart. But now James Coleman is interested in taking the victory down the school straight. Ed Hayes is with him for company, a few more laps, and maybe there would have been a better battle. But we are getting close to the end of the race, and James Coleman is on course for his 2nd win. Ed Hayes is about to get onto him as we go into the final lap. So James Coleman trying to hang on for the victory. Here we go, last lap, and Ed Hayes is right underneath him. What if Ed Hayes could get past Coleman and win to take the championship? It's pretty much guaranteed now he'll be champion. All he has to do is finish the last lap, Ed Hayes. He can sit behind James Coleman and let him take the win, but Hayes is a racer. He'll want to go for it. So now James Coleman hanging on to the lead in front of Ed Hayes, and Coleman and Hayes are not prepared to let each other have anything. Down to Yentwood, into the right-hander. Hayes still pushing James Coleman for all he's worth. But you have to look at how impressive Ed Hayes has been over the course of the season. He has always been able to put his car in the right place at the right time. Adam Southgate, his main opposition, meanwhile, has had so much bad luck. Whoa, Stocker dives up the inside of Avery on the last lap at Yentwood. The back end comes around and Stocker loses it right in front of Avery. Oh, poor Alex Stocker. His incredible weekend at Rockingham. In terms of his pace, he's been absolute lightning. But again, he's just caught out. It's one of those things, unfortunately, for Alex Stocker. He will be back at Brands Hatch, and he'll be back to his best. And now we've got the battle for the 924s. They've got a lap and a half to go. Lowry hanging on in front of Johnson. For the moment, at least, Johnson's going to try into the final hairpin. Not close enough. Maybe he can go for the move into Dean hairpin. 2 great battles at the end of this race. Lowry is close to the inside. Johnson's already on the inside line. They're going to run side by side down the straight, and Gavin Johnson's going for his first win in the 2017 season. He could get there, but attention turns to the Boxsters up front. James Coleman is going to beat Ed Hayes to the flag. James Coleman wins his 2nd race of the weekend, his 2nd race ever in the championship. But Ed Hayes is the 2017 Toyo Tires Porsche Champion. Incredible result. And Johnson throws it up the inside of Dean. Johnson leads in the 924s. After all the heartache of the season where he's come close and not quite managed it. After the heartache of yesterday, he was devastated while leading at Yentwood on the last lap when the rain threw him off. He was absolutely heartbroken. Now he's here in front of Ryan Lowry. We're going to have 3 first-time winners in the 924s in one weekend. Carl Rossin won race 1, Ryan Lowry won race 2, and all we need now is the number 9 of Gavin Johnson to hang on, and we've got 3 new winners in one weekend. What an amazing result that would be for the championship. But for the PDC racing man Gavin Johnson with his teammate in the barriers and Ryan Lowry behind him, this could set up a showdown between the 3 drivers for the championship at Brands Hatch. Now that's going to be a really amazing spectacle, and we'll see who gets the best of it. Ryan Lowry's going to try one more time to go for Gavin Johnson. No need to look behind you now, mate. You've already cleared off from everybody else. But Gavin Johnson wants his first win in the 2017 season. The celebrations have already started on the cooling down lap for Ed Hayes in the 77. He knows he is the champion. But the championship is going to go down to Brands Hatch in the 924s as Gavin Johnson comes out of the final corner. I'm welling up. Gavin Johnson makes it 3 new winners in one weekend, and Johnson finally is a winner in the 924s, in front of Ryan Lowry. Spectacular weekend. James Coleman wins from the new champion, Ed Hayes. Adam Southgate comes home in third with no breaks. Richard Avery fourth ahead of Goodwin, Porter, Stocker and Molyneux, and Philip Churchill in ninth. Hull out of the race, unfortunately. Baker and Harris come through in that order, with Harris only 10.6 back from Andrew Baker this time. And in the 924s, Ryan Lowry has to come second fiddle to Gavin Johnson, who wins his first race of the season from Philip Waters and Andrew Pritchard, with no one else finishing, courtesy of that absolute demolition derby on the first corner. But the title for 924s goes down to Brands Hatch.
Congratulations on your first win in the Porsche 924s. A fantastic race out there.
Yeah, it was a great race when we got going. It was a bit of tragedy on the first lap, so sad to see my teammate in the wall. That's tinged it a little bit. But when the race got going, yeah, it was a good one. Trailing Pete and Ryan, and eventually picked them off one by one, and I'm delighted, to be honest. Yeah, it's good news.
Well, James, they often say 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
No, really pleased with that. Really happy with that. Put a new set of tyres on the front to scrub them in, ready for Brands Hatch, and give the guys at the front a chance. And we seemed to get a good start, so I thought we'd go for the win, and we got it. So really pleased with that. Really pleased.
Well, Nick, we've had a fantastic day's racing here at Rockingham, but of course we've got more exciting things and more important things to talk about in weeks to come.
Yeah, we've had a great weekend, haven't we? We've been quite lucky, other than with a bit of rain yesterday, sunshine today. So, all told, yeah, great day's racing.
Now, of course, we've got to talk about the charity event that's coming up, and talk us through what's happening.
Yeah, well, every year we try and do a bit, give a bit back for people, and we've done a couple of things this year. Unfortunately, a lady I went to school with is suffering a bit at the moment, and so we've decided to raise some money for her for cancer. She's been battling cancer for the last 4 years, and she's managed to raise £32,000 for other people. She needs a bit of help now, and she's got a Just Giving page, so we decided we'd try and help out. Toyo Tires donated a set of tyres, so we've managed to raffle them off to the best to the person that offered the most money, and we've done the stickers, and all together we've raised about £1,100 for her today.
That's absolutely fantastic news. That's really good, and it's nice when the whole motorsport community can pull together for something as critical and important as that.
Yeah, these guys have been really good. People have been really generous. We asked for £10 a sticker. One chap gave, £50. So they just people. All the lads in the paddock have been absolutely brilliant. They never, no hesitation, put their hands straight in the pockets and help out. So I have to say a big thank you to all those guys as well.
That's brilliant, and we wish her all the best in her recovery, and fantastic effort for you for putting it together.
Yeah, thank you ever so much. Yeah, cheers, appreciate it.
And there we go, that's the weekend's action from Rockingham complete. We hope you can join us next time for the final rounds at Brands Hatch.